cool validation using CSS only, that is without the help of JavaScript. As you can see, so you can see that this gives me a very clean looking interface. So if I enter the name based on what the way I've set it, so that it gives me that little check mark showing green. All right, so but if I violate the rule, it gives me that time sign with a red color, and they also make the border or the outline red for the input field. So as you can see, so that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to see how to do basic validation or simple validation or simple form validation using CSS only. That is without the help of JavaScript. So you can see this password now. So if it is more or less a little bit strong enough, so it's able to validate it and say it is correct. Otherwise, it shows that it is not correct. All right. So if you enter here, I've actually said that the password should have 8 characters long. So if that is the case, it shows that it is validated and it gives you a signed check mark. I can see that this name should have at least 2 characters long. So here now, see that as long as it gets to 2, it shows green. All right. So then for the password field, so if it is less than 8, it shows red. Then if it is 8 and above, it shows green. So that is cool. It's good to know that this kind of thing can be done with CSS only without JavaScript. All right. So if you count the number of inputs here, see that it's actually going to be 8 before it shows that. All right. So this is the areas that I'm doing the development. It's in VS Code. So this is the structure of the application: CSS folder, images folder, then index.html. So let's create the HTML page. Let's write the HTML code. All right. So we just put the boilerplate there to change the title of the page to simple form validation with CSS only. Then we create a field set. We'll create a field set tag. Then we'll add legend within it that will help us to more or less label create a caption for the form. We call it input form. So it looks like this so far. All right. So the next thing we need to do is to work on the header part, or the head part rather. So we'll link to the CSS that we have not we have created, but we have not written the code yet. CSS file known as style.css resides within CSS folder, or a folder called CSS. All right. So then we also need to link to the icon that should show on the web browser, more or less a way of customizing the page. So I have a logo of this channel right there. So if you refresh it now, so you see that it looks cool. See that you have that little image right there. All right. So we'll create a div. Within that div, we'll add an input field, call it email. So make sure that it is required as part of the constraints. Then we'll add a p tag, a paragraph tag with a valid input class. Then we'll add a check mark. Then we'll add another one, another p tag that will have invalid as the name of the class, then times as a value within there, just like we have check mark, but we'll now have times. All right. So now we just duplicate this to have our first name. Okay. So we have first name here. So we'll change this one to, so this one will not be first name. So we'll turn it to first name instead of email. Then this one will be first name. The everything pretty much remains the same. Of course, with the type should be text. Should be text. Yes, should be text, not email. All right. So then the same thing we'll do for. So this one is for the email. That's line. That one should be for the email. Then this will be for first name. All right. Then we'll duplicate this one for that of last name. So change one to text. Change that email to text. Then we change this first to last. So that will be for last name. Right. Then one more thing, to add another one, duplicate this one to be for password. Okay. So yes. Then so that's first name. Oh, let's change that to last name instead of just LA. So last name, then this one will be password. So the span here will have password as the more like as the label sort of, or that will appear as then the type should be password that will appear as placeholder later. Okay, so that's how it looks so far. So let's add a button on it. So the button will have a submit. Okay, so have submit as the value. Then that's how it looks so far. So then we'll put some constraint there. Each one is required, each of the fields, input field is required. Then we'll put minimum length for the password as 8. So that's where you're putting the constraint. You're saying that the user must enter at least 8 characters long. Okay, then for the rest, for that of last name, you should have minimum of 2 characters long and maximum of 25. So we'll do same for the first name. So as you can see here, okay, so I think that settles that. Okay, so that settles that. So yeah, that settles that. So what is remaining is that of the CSS code. So note that CSS code file resides within the CSS folder, a folder called CSS. Alright, so then we'll open the CSS file now and work on it. So here we just say all elements within the CSS. All elements within the page should have margin 0, padding 0, box sizing, border box. They will give a generic form family to Verdana. Then work on the fit set, that is what surrounds or what contains what houses the various inputs or the form elements. Okay, so make it so look at how it looks now. So at the middle, so we need to push it down a little bit from the top. So what we'll do there is remove this border first. So what we'll do now is, okay, so this is how it looks so far. So what else? Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to make the border 0, so we don't need a border on it, so I can have that shadow coming out. Okay, so this is how we have so far. So the next thing you need to do, so change the shadow color to something from bluish color to something gray or black. Okay, so push it from the top by using margin top 3 EM, so it pushes down a little bit. So then we take it back. We'll come back to the code. So the next we need to do now is come to the legend. Let's work on the legend. So give it a background color of FC. Then we'll put a little padding on it. Then after that, we'll create a border radius, and then change the font size. Then of course the font weight. So this is what we have the result so far. Okay, so input form is the value right there in the legend. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is work on the div there. So if you're not interested in building the interface to look like this, you can follow the timeline and go to the area that does the validation, which is towards the end of the video. Okay, so then next we need to do is to go to I will say feed set. So the feed set, then any input that is in there should have a transition of 0.5s. That is when you move them around here and there later. You're going to see how it looks later. The video is actually not about creating the interface, but just to work on the validation. Okay, so that's what we have so far. So this is how it looks so far. So we need to push those icons, that is the check mark and the times icon, to the right. So now see right minus 25px. So we check it now. So it pushes to yes. I think I like where it is now. So let's just give it a color. Let's give it a background color to see how it looks. Okay, so so we just say, okay, let's work on the width first. Make it 22px. So making it 22 pixels, so it gives you so 22 pixels. Then we'll say test align to the middle, put it at the center. Then let's just put the border radius of 50%. So that will give you a perfect circle at the end of the day. Okay, then let's give it a background color so I'll see where it is, how it looks with what we have done so far. So if you look at this, so look at this dot, this more like bullet points right there. So we're going to remove the border, the background color. So instead we'll create a border on it as we get along. All right, so now the valid input as a class and the invalid input as a class, we'll work on those ones. So what happens is that the valid input will have its own color. So we'll now say, I will say transform rotate. I just want the check mark to turn properly compared to how it just rotate to the right a little bit. So with how many degrees now? Let's say 9 degrees should be okay. So just push to the right a little, push it down a little bit. Okay. So then border, we now say give it a green line, then 1px, then solid. So that will give you a solid border of 1px. Then the color, that is the text inside, should also be green. So let's see how it looks. So look at that, see how it is. So you can actually use a feed background, that will give it a background, maybe green background with white text, whatever. But for the sake of this video, just leave it like this. Of course, you can do it how you want. Then for that of invalid input class, which is this one, so what we'll do now is we'll change the color to something red. So give it border instead of green, so something that gives some kind of warning. So we'll give it border should have a red color, give it tomato color. All right, then 1px, then solid, just like the other one. All right, then the color should also be tomato. So that is, border and the text color will have the same color, or the border and the text rather will have the same color. So as you can see, they're actually overlapping each other for now. So we are going to work on that as we get along. So next is we go back here. So we need to make this on the p tag display none, so that it will not be showing until the user interacts with it. So you can see that it doesn't show anymore. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to begin to implement the validation. Okay, so what we now need to do here is so come down here. So we need to just need to paste the button implementation, because what you have is actually not about a button, but that's why I just pasted everything that has to do with the button here. Okay, so you can see it right there. All right, so this is what we have so far. So I think it looks clean. This is what we have so far. So now when you click on it, when you click inside of any of the input fields, the placeholder, for example, first name, last name, email, password, should more or less jump up, then so that I have a space to type, and I think it looks cool. So we click on it now. Any of the okay, so you just push. We needed to push that. We need to push the placeholder from the left a little bit. So then the font size should be 16px of the placeholder. Note that we are just faking this placeholder so that we can have it jump up and so on. Then we'll make a pointer event null, because we don't want it to prevent the input. When you click within it, we don't want it to be prevented by what we have done so far. If you don't put that pointer event null, you're going to have issues. All right, so now we're going to say if you click inside of any of the boxes or any of the input fields, what will happen is that it will change the color of that. As you can see that it's changing the color of the placeholder to a darker color, and it moves it up, as you can see right there. Right, I think that looks cool. All right, so then not just that, we are saying that if it is valid, let's just copy this and paste it. So we are saying that if it is valid, that is if the user enters something valid based on what we have done in the HTML part, then we want the text, that icon to come, the green icon, that is the check mark, should to come out. So here we use feed input, then valid. Then if it is valid, then the valid input class should show false. Okay, so that's what this one is in line 92. So we now say display block. We made it display none before. We made a generic display none at the paragraph for paragraph tag or the p tag. So this one, so we want it to display when the valid input is, when the input has a valid value, basically. All right, so you can see that if I type within it, look at that. As long as it gets to, it's not doing anything yet. It's not giving me that red one yet because I've not done that. But as long as it gets to 8 or more, see that it turns, that check mark comes out. All right, so then you can, like I said, we can also do for the second one, which is what if it doesn't hold true. This is what you probably would do using JavaScript by using if statement. All right, so note that this one, there's no single if statement here. Okay, and it's so cool to see, just CSS only. Okay, so let's go back to it. Okay, so like I said, this has to do with 8 characters. So if it has 8 and above, that green icon comes up. Otherwise, it disappears. All right, so then, okay, let's see. Okay, so let's go back there. So the next we need to now do is that, what if that disappears? There should be something else that will replace it. All right, so just copy this now and paste it. Then what we do now do is that, then the input, that's the field set, any input that is inside, then if it is user invalid, so it's actually a thing that is being tested. Okay, it's a feature that is being tested for now. You may not want to do this in production, but who knows, maybe when you're watching this, all browsers would have implemented it. All right, so now if you remove, consider it shows this now. Like I said, that user invalid, it is still being tested. Okay, so it's not adopted across board yet for other browsers, but all new browsers are there. It works in all, whether Mozilla, whether Firefox, whether Opera, then Edge, Safari, and so on. So they all support it. So far, that is the newer versions anyway. All right, so with that, it gives you that is when you say input user invalid. That is, if what the user entered is not valid, then it should show the invalid input, which is the time sign that will show red. All right, so then note that if you don't use that user invalid, it's going to show these things whether the user interacts with it or not, and that is not what we want in this particular video. All right, so we want it to be very dynamic this way. So like I said, it is a thing that is still being tested. Then like I said, it may be fully integrated or supported by all browsers, irrespective of the version. At least the version of like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago should still support it. All right, so that's what you can see. That's what Phil said that user invalid. So also use the invalid there. So if it is invalid, then what do you need to do? That Phil said, input user valid. So if it is valid, what do you want to do? You want the outline to be green, like here. Now you can see that the outline is green. So not just showing the check mark, you're also showing the outline as green. All this we are using JavaScript for. Okay, so then otherwise the outline should be red. So let's copy this and paste it. So we now say fit set, let's alter it. So user invalid, then so we'll remove this. Then we now say the span should have a red color or tomato color. So now say color, now give it tomato as the value. Okay, so that settles that. Okay, I think that we're almost done. All right, so look at that, and so look, you see that it's more interactive this way. So if you enter something that is valid, see that it shows red. I mean that is invalid, shows red, but if it is valid, you want to show green. Okay, so let's try it again. So see that, see what happens here. Okay, so I think that settles this so far. Note that tilde sign means that any span that is within that space of that feature, that is the next span, should give you that, should have that implemented on it, which is color red. All right, so I've done, I also link my CSS. I did the basic CSS video some time ago, so I'll link it in the description of this video. Okay, so you can see that the email is not correct. I mean, it's not valid. See that it shows red. See that the name is valid. See that it shows green. Okay, so then look at that. So if you, for the first name is now there. So if you see that if once the name is less than 2, see that it shows red. Once it's 2 and above, it shows green. The same thing goes for the red based on what we have done in the HTML side. Okay, so put the password, and if it is up to the, if it's up to the required number, of course it shows green. So for the email, so that it's not valid. Once I pick a valid email, so that it's still not valid, as you can see. So email should have so the name at whatever.com or .co or whatever. So see that it's now valid. All right. So I think, and it's also responsive, of course. You know, so this is how you can do basic validation in HTML and CSS only. The best way to still validate input is see at the server side. However, doing it this way will help a great deal. So this is the CSS code. I'm just trying to scroll through so that you can see it. If you want to make changes to what you have done so far. So that's I'm carefully scrolling through it now, so you can see it. So see if you can make changes. Then if you need the CSS code, of course, we just send it to you free of charge. Yes, free. All right. So so this area is for the validation. That is if you just want to focus on the validation area, I mean alone. All right. So that is how it is done. I hope this helps you. If it does help you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Like the video and share it. Thank you for watching. See you in another video.